The mind's a work of art, but the brush can get heavy. Time to upgrade. Hit that refresh, reprogram my head. MindShift Mondays, MindShift Mondays. That's where you want to be, because your mind deserves an upgrade.
What in the world? Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to MindShift Mondays. I'm Fatima Bey, the MindShifter, and I am an international MindShift coach. And I'm here every Monday at 7 p.m. to plant some thought seeds. And what I do is I plant thought seeds that can be turned into a harvest of abundance, but only if you water those seeds and give them sunlight. So I hope that you will do that with today's words. So I'm really excited. Today's going to be a little different because I'm starting a new series. So what I've been doing so far, my now old series, is called Character Assessment. And you have to go back and look, and I did 10 of them so far. I will revisit Character Assessment again later, but right now I'm going to start a new series. So a new series is called Coaching Tips. So as you know, I am a coach, and I'm going to give you different tips throughout this series. And again, I don't know how long this series is going to last either. I'm going to give you different tips that will help you to empower yourself and better your life in any area. Because what I'm going to teach you aren't just do this, do that, 1, 2, 3, presto, changeo. I gave you a tip. Everything's all better now. Real life doesn't work like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you principles that you can apply in your own life, in your own way, right now where you are. Not ideally from where you should be, but where you actually are right now. So, in this series, I like to take a deep dive into topics. So, I'm going to shift your thinking into seeing the principles and not just the details. So, if you have any questions or comments, please make sure that you ask. Go ahead and comment. I will probably wait till the end to answer them. I might stop in the middle and respond this time for this series. So today we're talking about price tag. So I don't know what happened to. I had price tag above my head, and it was there, but now it's disappeared. But so, and as you know, if you've seen me before, I usually like to have it written in text above my head on the live, but it disappeared. So the series that I have today is starting today is Coaching Tips. Today I'm going to talk about something called price tag. So let's dive into what that means. And what that means is how to count the cost before making any decision. That's the price tag I'm talking about. The cost of every decision in any area of your life. I'm going to teach you how to better assess that cost before making the purchase. All right. So a lot of times we think money is the only thing that has a price tag, or that money is the only currency that we have that can pay for things. And if you think that way, you're thinking this small, because that is so not true. There are many different ways in which we pay for our decisions. So this is why I want you to count the cost versus the benefits before you make your purchase. All right. So every decision we make has a price tag. I'm going to repeat that again. You can write this down if you want. You might want to take notes, actually. Every decision that we make has a price tag. Sometimes that price is paid by you. Sometimes that price is paid by someone else. But every single decision we have has a price tag. And truly, nothing in life actually is free. Just because you didn't pay for it doesn't mean it wasn't paid for. Think about the freedoms that we now have. Think about if you are not a white male in America, somebody paid for your freedoms. Whether you're brown or just because you're a woman or whatever your details are. Somebody paid for you to have, the civil rights that we have. there are many different ways in which we could talk about that people pay. You know, we have people in the army and other services that pay for us. There's Jesus died on the cross paid for us. There's different ways that things are paid for. So somebody always pays for the things that we get. It's just not always us. But either way, going back to what I was saying, every decision has a price tag. Money is only one form of currency. So let me tell you, there are 6 currencies that you need to consider before making any decision. Pay attention. 6 currencies. Number 1, and they're in no particular order, okay? So number 1 currency, energy. Energy. Number 2, time. Number 3, the mental cost. Number 4, the physical cost. Okay. All right. I think I made a mistake in how I set things up. I apologize. Someone just came on screen, but I think that was my fault. So whoever I think it was Debbie. I'm not sure who it was. I didn't mean to get you off, but I also didn't mean to bring you on, so I apologize. That was my mistake. All right, let's go back to the 6 currencies to consider before making a decision. There are 6 currencies in which you are paying for that decision. Number 1, energy, the cost of energy, the cost of time, the cost of mental. I'm just calling it one word, mental. There's many things that fall under that umbrella, but the mental cost of your decision, the physical cost of your decision. That doesn't apply to every single thing, but it does apply to many, and sometimes in ways we don't think about it. Relationship costs, and then financial costs. When we use the word cost, we usually only associate the word cost with money. And that's because in Western society, we are trained to think that way. And I'm here to untrain your brain and get rid of that stinking thinking, because you are paying so much more than money for a lot of decisions that you are making. So now some of these, now I want to say I included relationship costs in that list because relationship costs are a little bit different. They kind of cross over all of the rest of those, but they to me are a different category. And we're going to talk about those. So today I'm only going to talk about 3 of them, because if I talk about all 6, then you will be here till next Tuesday. So everything that you can think of will fall under one of those 6 categories, because there's a lot of things that I didn't mention, and you're probably right, but that's because they fall under one of those categories. I only categorized it to make it kind of simplify it, to make it easier to explain. So before any decision, you need to count the cost. And today I'm going to talk about the costs of energy, time, and mental, which are probably 3 really big ones. So last week I talked about time and how time is your biggest currency. And that still applies here. Time is your biggest currency. And when you make a decision, you have to say, okay, I'm going to do this because it costs $10, and I'm not going to do that one because it's going to cost me $50. But if you only look at money, you are thinking very, very, very small. You are thinking very, very, very small, and you are missing the total cost. Let's break that down. So when it comes to the cost of time, so this will cost me $10. This will cost me $50. So I'm going to go with the one that costs $10 because it's cheaper, right? But is it though? So you decided to buy this thing that costs $10, but now you paid $30 worth of anguish, $40 worth of time, $100 worth of worry and irritation. What did you really pay? What did you really pay? You might have paid $10 here and you saved in money, but you spent more in those other currencies for that thing. For example, let's go with house repairs. Great example. And I've watched this happen. They're looking at the bottom line only. Oh, well, instead of going to get this person that's going to do what I want them to do, to remodel my house for $10,000, I'm gonna get JoJo on the side and pay him $3,000. He gonna do the same thing. JoJo only halfway knows what he's doing, and that half of knowing what he's doing is why you hired him. But JoJo really don't know what he's doing, and he don't want to admit that because his pride, his ego getting in the way. And JoJo wants the money, so JoJo goes and does this remodel of your bathroom. Well, JoJo's done with his job. A little while later, the toilets start acting up like you want to fight you. The faucet is screaming all over the place and shooting all over the place. Sewer's backing up. I guess maybe you paid more for the cheap job than if you had paid the contractor, the legal contractor, $10,000 versus paying JoJo $3,000. That's a real thing that people do. And then they're like, well, I don't understand why. Because you went the cheap route, looking at money only, not looking at the other costs. So now it's going to cost you more in money to get those things repaired that JoJo messed up, because JoJo did the best he could, but JoJo didn't know what he was doing entirely. All right? You could have paid the $10,000, and that's all you would have paid. But now you're paying anguish. You're paying more money that's probably going to end up being close to $10,000 when you're done. But now you've paid more than just money. You've paid for the time that you lost because you can't use your bathroom. So you're going to your neighbor's house, who's nice to let you use it every time you go to the bathroom. Well, that's anguish, because I don't want to go to Larry's house next door and use the bathroom every time I want to shower and take a bathroom, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now all this stress is building up. So now you're paying in stress. You are paying in time. You are paying in inconvenience. You are paying in discomfort. So now for hiring JoJo for $3,000, when you could have paid somebody to do a right job in the right amount of time in the right way for $10,000, now you've paid $15,000 worth of everything else. You paid 5 times more because you made a decision, because you were only thinking with a tiny brain, tiny thinking. Only money. That's all there is. No, there isn't. There's 6 currencies. Think about that. Time was wrapped up into that example. But when it comes to time, you have to think about, I'm going to work with another example. I'm going to work with this person because they're cheaper, versus I'm going to work with this other person, but this person cost me more time than that person. So did you really save anything? Yes, you save money, but your cost is now outweighing the benefits. Like an example I just gave with JoJo. Energy costs. And I talked about this a little bit last week. Let's talk about energy costs. And I used this example last week, and I think it's a great one because I think it's just something we can all relate to. Think about when you arguing with some stupid fool. Trump sucks. No, Biden sucks. Kamala Harris is the best. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. That person is not going to change their mind. You are not going to change them. You already know this about them. Why are you arguing with them? Have a conversation with somebody who wants to hear a different perspective, who's willing to listen, who's kind of considering where their thoughts are, where their opinions are. Those people are not a waste of time. It's worth having a conversation with them because you might be able to change their mind. You might learn something from them. But when it comes to argumentative spirit, and y'all know who they are, well, no, maybe they're just speaking their mind. You know when they're argumentative, you have a brain in your head and you can see it. So don't play. Don't argue with them. Move on. I'm all for depositing into people, and I will absolutely do that. Hell, I'm Black. I've had conversations with racists who try to understand Black people, and they have honest conversations with me because they know it can, and I'm not going to get offended. I'm going to actually explain things to them and listen to what they have to say and try to, get them to see a different perspective. That's if they're making an effort. Sure, I have those conversations. But I'm not going to sit here and argue with some dumb fool who's a racist. Well, you're stupid. I'm not wasting my time on you. You've already decided. The thing is, you're not just stupid. You've decided that you want to stay in stupid. So when a person decides they want to stay in stupid, why are you spending energy? It's like throwing money down the toilet. Why are you spending the energy on this fool? And I said fool because that's what I meant. Why are you spending energy on this fool? What are you getting out of it? I need to prove myself. You're not changing the mind. You're spending energy. And what is your rate of return? What is your ROI? What are you getting back? Anguish, annoyance, frustration. Sounds like you just threw money down the toilet or your energy. So just think about that. When you count the cost of something, how much energy and time is this going to take? Is it worth it? Now let's talk about the mental. I talked about it a little bit. Your mental price is probably the biggest price that you usually will pay in any decision that you make. And the decisions I'm talking about are anything. It could be a business decision, a decision on who you're going to date, a decision on who you're going to marry, a decision on whether or not you want to be close friends with this person. All of those are decisions. A decision on whether or not you want to get involved in this project, whether or not you want to volunteer over at that church, whether or not you want to be friends with whatever. Just pick your own details. All of those decisions, you have to count the cost. And it's not just, sometimes it has nothing to do with money, but you need to think about how much energy is this going to cost me? How much energy do I have to put into this situation? Is it worth it? How much time am I going to put into this situation? Is it worth it? What is this going to do to me, for me, or to me mentally? Is it worth it? So you can't just look at the cost, just look at the benefits as well. You can't do math with just the negatives, right? So you're going to say, how much is this going to cost me? Okay, it's going to cost me time and energy to donate myself and energies to these young women, and I'm going to help them and encourage them and minister to them and counsel them, whatever you're going to do for them, or teach them or train them, whatever you're going to do for them. I'm going to volunteer and I'm going to give to these women. What is your rate of return? Well, your rate of return might not be, your return might not be, your return on investment is what I meant to say. I said it wrong. Your return on investment, I'm sorry. Your return on investment might not be, what am I immediately getting out of this? Your return on your investment might be, I get to change a life. How does that benefit you? I'll use myself as an example. When I am able to deposit into people's lives and say the words that make a difference in their lives, and I see it, I get something out of that too. The return for me is fulfillment. The return for me is watching a young woman feel better about herself, to recognize that she is okay as she is. She does not need to try to be like me or anybody else. That's a message I'm always preaching. And I love depositing that, especially into young women, because it's really needed, not just here in America, but around the world. And it's part of my mission, and you will never stop hearing me saying that. And I love doing that. The return for me is fulfillment for me, because it's part of my calling, and I understand that. But also the return for me is watching them rise, watching them, even if it's just a little bit, feel a little bit better about themselves. That's a return. So to me, the cost is worth it. I got a bargain. Listen to my episode about Janiyah, episodes 2. Do a search for her name. I forgot all the numbers, but I think she's episodes 61 and 64 or 74. But it's a 17-year-old. She started off as a 17-year-old girl in this area, and through coaching was able to change her life. She started off with low self-esteem, etc., and thought all these bad things about herself. And now she's in college, going to be a lawyer, and never thought any of that was possible when I met her. To me, and I put a lot of investment into this young woman, a lot. I have absolutely no regrets, because the return on investment, I'm watching her rise. I'm watching her grow. I've watched her become someone she never thought she could be and didn't know was already in her. So when I look at that, is it worth the cost? Absolutely. She's worth it. I think she's worth it. So I don't mind depositing into her. I don't mind depositing into young women, because I believe that they're worth it. Especially love depositing into young women from third world countries. I love that, because they're worth it. Many of them don't know that yet, but they hang around me to know, because I make sure they do. Now, I was just using myself as an example, because sometimes they're like, well, I don't know if we get any return on investment when you volunteer, but you do, though. Because if you enjoy watching someone else benefit from your work, that's a return on the investment, because you feel good about yourself. Or you just feel good, like, oh my God, I made a difference in someone's life. And you could be a man who's a mentor for young men. That's beautiful. Oh my God, that's awesome. We need more of that. Your return on investment is watching that person grow. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you might volunteer at a shelter and watching people sleep for a night, not have to be on the street. The return is the feeling that you get and knowing that you made a difference in someone's life because you were there for them. That's beautiful. But I want to go back to your decisions. Every decision that you make in your life has a cost. And let's talk a little bit more about the mental cost. I just talked about the good mental cost, feeling good that you helped somebody, feeling good that you made a difference, even with your business. You might make a difference in people's lives with your business model. I love it when I see people do that. It's just so beautiful. I just talked about positive costs, but let's also talk about the negative costs when it comes to your mind, your mental. Is this costing you extra stress? Is the benefit that you're getting from the decision that you made worth the stress? Is that guy that you decided to date so that you don't feel lonely, so that you could feel loved because you were so desperate for a man? You made a decision for this boy in a man's body, and he does nothing for you but give you good dick and good feelings once in a while, but he puts you down the rest of the time, poor as hell, asking you for money instead of taking care of you. What is the real price tag? I'm just giving you real world examples because I see it. What is the cost? I really want you to think about that when you make every decision. What is the cost? I'm with this guy because, well, I've known him since I was 10. We've been together for a long time. And I call that being desperate for anyone because you're desperate for love. And so you settle for things you shouldn't. I've been with him a long time, so I should stay with him. But what does it cost you? He's abusing you financially, he's abusing you physically, or he's abusing you mentally. What are you really getting? What is the cost? Because right now, if you're in that situation, the cost is physical harm, but the biggest cost is your mental harm. Because now he's manipulating your mind. There's always financial abuse with it, almost always. What are you really getting out of it? A false sense of love, and it is false. But he does love me. No, he loves owning you. He loves controlling you. He doesn't love you. I don't know who I'm talking to with that, but you just felt it. The other costs that we pay mentally: irritation, worry, because you hired someone to do a job who was cheaper. You went to the lowest bidder, and now you're worried about the project being done correctly. What's the cost? It's worth it to pay more. Sometimes I word it this way sometimes. Sometimes I would rather pay money than anguish. And I need for some of you to think that way. Um, so I'm going to give you a little free coaching tip for right now. Before you make any decision, especially big ones, I'm mostly talking about big decisions, but you can still apply this to smaller decisions so that you don't get to the point where you need to make bigger decisions because the small ones messed you up. So on a sheet of paper, put 6 columns and put all six of these costs, and I'll read them to you again. Energy, time, mental, physical, relationship costs, and financial costs. Put a line halfway through the paper. Put the costs at the top, put the benefits at the bottom. Weigh them out, and then you can see how to make the right decision. It'll help you to make the right decision. Now, I just gave you a really free tool that people usually have to pay for, but my goal in doing these is to help you guys to live a better life and make wiser decisions. To me, this is all about helping you to make wiser decisions because I'm not going to make a decision for you. I ain't doing nothing for you. You need to make decisions for your life yourself, but I want to give you the tools that you need and rearrange your thinking to help you to get there. So you can do that for yourself so that you're able to make those decisions. And you can put it on paper, you can put it on a graph on a computer if that's easier for you. Whatever is more visually appealing to you, but don't just keep it all in your head. Put it on paper or put it on a graph digitally and weigh out the costs versus the benefits. And if you do that, you'll begin to see some things aren't worth it, some things are. All right. So I'm going to go through comments and questions right now. There seems to be quite a bit. So let's see. Yes, Erica says small thinking. Yep. Okay. Let me get this to scroll up without acting like a jerk. Okay. Hey, ooh, yes, Erica. Pay too much in self-respect, not just dollars. Let's talk about that. That is one form of payment that you make. It's self, yeah. You get into these relationships. Now, I use the example of a relationship with men because that's a big one. It's not the only one though. You make a decision that, well, this is a good one. Hollywood people. I hope y'all listening because I'm talking directly to the entertainment industry. So now, entertainment industry, and I'm so glad I'm not a part of it because the more I learn about it, the more I am honored to not be a part of it. And this is why. Many people in the entertainment industry literally sell their souls. And I'm not exaggerating. Literally sell their souls. I'm going to become a millionaire, but I'm going to have to do things that I completely disagree with, that are degrading, that are cause me to lack self-respect. Oh, but I'm getting them dollars. What's the price you really paid? Is it really worth it? Let me tell you this to those who are not famous, who aren't in the industry. When we look at so many rich people, famous people, how many of them have killed themselves, go to rehab, and do messed up stuff? Because money isn't the answer for everything. Money answers some things, and it does, and we need it. We absolutely need it, and get us stuff. But it doesn't pay for real loyalty. It doesn't satisfy emotional and mental needs. You can get medication that'll do it, but at the end of the day, it doesn't do it. If money and fame was everything, we wouldn't see any of them fail and fall. We do all the time. And sometimes I actually have a lot of compassion for certain of them. Some of them I don't, but some of them I do. Because they're not all the same. They're not all the same, and not everybody in the entertainment industry is Jay-Z or other bad people. He's bad. Not all people are like them. But I'm using that as an example because that's something that we can all see. Because we don't think of people right now that, why are they going crazy when they're famous to get all this money? Because you don't understand. They are under a lot more pressure than the rest of us because of all the fame and money. But they're still just as messed up as the rest of us. And that's the problem. If you don't have the right people around you, they can mess you up more. So anyway, people will pay and they will pay with losing self-respect so that they can gain money. And at the end of the day, the cost is never worth it. It's never worth it. How much? Okay, someone said, how do you decipher? Erica said, how much do you decipher? How do you decipher how much you are sacrificing? Well, before I answered that question, she asked that question before I answered it. I told you about putting the graph on paper or on the computer. And that is honestly the best way you can do it for yourself. So you're not just keeping it all up in here, but you're actually looking at it and you're able to weigh the cost better. The mental cost is probably one of the biggest. The mental cost is probably one of the biggest prices that people pay. Let's see. Oh, sorry, my audio was skipping. I used a different phone this time, hoping that was it. Maybe it is my internet connection. I don't know. I do have a lot of things connected to it right now. Yes, not worth it. Not worth it at all. All right. So I gave you all some homework, and I want you to keep that homework for the rest of your life. If you have any major decisions, and who you're going to date is a major decision. Listen, Americans, stop taking dating so freaking casually. Some of y'all are so freaking messed up because you take dating too damn casually. Our culture teaches us that bullshit, and it is bullshit. We take it way too casually. I'm just having a casual relationship. You just casually inviting all kinds of spirits into your life. You just casually inviting all kinds of people to trample on your emotions. It's stupid. It's plain freaking stupid. And it's something that our culture teaches us. It's okay. because it makes for great television. Stop it. Stop casually dating. It's stupid. Dating is a big decision because you are inviting that person to deposit and withdraw into your life, into your spirit. It's a big freaking deal. All these dumb ass so-called reality TV show dating shows help to make that part of the culture even worse. Stop falling for it and stop being the airhead who just follows for it. A dating is a big decision. Use these principles when you're looking at someone to date. Don't forget. Yes, I said all that. And no, I ain't taking it back. And I ain't sorry. Now, having said all that, thank you all for the comments that you made and those of you who are watching as well. And this is mostly for those of you who will be watching in the future. Now, after this, you all know that I do group sessions, therapy sessions for girls and women. I'm a business partner with that. I'm a coach and she's a therapist, and it's Erica Best. She's down in the comments. She will be on at 8 o'clock live on her profile as well. And I give coaching tips. She talks about therapeutic things. But she does take a deep dive, and she's really real and down to earth. She's from Brooklyn, y'all. She's real and down to earth. So you can actually converse with her in the comments and she will respond. So I highly recommend that you go there. And for those of you who think you don't need therapy, you're the exact ones who need to show up so you can get a little bit of free stuff and see that it works. And also, please visit fatimabey.com. It's my website. I just completely rebuilt my website from blank. So, and I did it myself. So please go there and tell me how pretty it is. But please visit fatimabey.com and go ahead and follow me on social media. I post words of wisdom. I call them words of wisdom every single day, all over social media, all over the world, all over the place. So you will see them if you follow me. They're just little nuggets of planting thought seeds that will hopefully help your life. And again, I do all that for free because I really want to help people as much as I can to help you to make better decisions for your life. And I hope that you do, and I hope that you take everything I'm saying, you really take it to heart, and you marinate and process it, because it does take a minute to process, and I understand that. But take everything I'm saying and really process it and apply it to your life. And if you could do me a favor, tell me about it. I want to know how you see these things applying in your life, or maybe you're already applying most of it, and something I said is like, it's just going to take me to the next level. That's great. Tell me about it. I would love to hear that, that it's working for you. So thank you again for listening, and I'll see you guys next week.